Good morning or good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Cisco Support Community Expert Series webcast. We're glad to have you with us. A few housekeeping notes to begin. As you entered the WebEx console, you either joined us by audio broadcast or by phone, which was automatically muted. You will remain muted throughout the event today. When you have a question, please feel free to enter it into the WebEx Q&A panel as you think of them. You can find the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner of the console. Please leave the WebEx chat window for communication to our WebEx facilitator for any problems or issues you may be experiencing in today's call. We would appreciate your input regarding today's webcast. A short survey will appear when you close your browser at the end of the event. At this time, I'd like to pass it over to our host for today, Satish Chandra. Satish?
Thank you, Ria. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Cisco Support Community's Expert Series webcast. Today, we present a live webcast on topic Licensing Architecture, Cisco Unified Communication Managers, version 9. My name is Satish Chandran, and I'll be moderating today's event. Our expert joining me today is Amit Singh. Amit is a customer support engineer at the Cisco Technical Assistance Center in Bangalore, India. He has 6.5 years of experience, and his area of expertise include Cisco Unified Communications Manager, Multi-Services, Cisco Unity, and Cisco Unified Contact Center Express. He has been involved in various escalation requests from India, Singapore, and Australia, and is currently working as a technical lead for Voice Team. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you, Satish.
So our expert panelist joining us today is Raesh Sheikh. He will be answering some of the technical questions during the event that you can post via the Q&A panel. Now I'd like to briefly outline the format for today's Expert Series webcast. Our expert will start with a brief presentation on licensing architecture, Cisco Unified Communication Manager version 9 for the first hour of the program, and then he will provide an answer to the question, what do Cisco Unified Call Manager and television show NCIS have in common? Stay tuned for that. Then we'll dive into the live question submission from the audience for the remainder of the event. During our live presentation, you may submit your technical question to be answered by our presenter and the expert panelist using the Q&A box on the right-hand side of the console. The team of technical experts is well versed in licensing architecture, Cisco Unified Communication Manager version 9. So please begin posting your questions now to give us the best chance of answering them. And if you experience any technical issues, please post your question in the chat window. We'll be asking a polling question during the event, and we highly encourage you to participate by answering them. You may download a PDF copy of today's presentation using the link in the chat window, and the document ID in the Cisco Support Committee is 27237. Now let's get started with today's event. All attendees that join the event will get 125 Cisco Preferred Access Point, and there will be a raffle. One $50 Amazon gift card will be given. So let's get started with the first polling question for the audience. And the question is, are you aware of the licensing changes in CUCM version 9? Option A, I don't know. Option B, yes, I'm aware of it. Option C, I've heard about it and would like to know more. So please take a moment to answer so that the expert can tailor their presentation to their needs. Thank you. So the poll is open on the right-hand side. Okay, make sure you submit your questions and we will answer them later in the webcast in the Q&A panel. Now, I'd like to hand over the mic to our expert, Amit Singh, who will give you the world of CUCM licensing architecture.
Thank you, Satish, and welcome everyone to this session of Cisco Unified Communications Manager 9.0 licensing architecture. Our agenda is going to be, as we can see on the screen, evolution of unified communications licensing up to 9.x. What essentially we wanted to cover is how the licensing architecture was supposed to be or used to be when we started with Call Manager 3.x, 4.x, and how we evolved over the time. Then we are going to cover what are different kind of licenses and what suits specific business requirement as per your requirement. Then we are going to cover the user count tool, also known as UCT. What is the importance of it, why it is being used, and what all scenarios are there which you can use this tool in. Then we will come down to one of the main component of the CUCM, or the Unified Communications Manager 9.x licensing architecture, that is Enterprise License Manager. And after that we are going to cover a few of the aspects of the Enterprise License Manager, which are manual versus the electronic license fulfillment. What is the difference between them, what feature is currently available, and what is going to come forward. Afterwards, we are going to check out a few troubleshooting or common scenarios which cover most of the common issues being experienced by customers or the users while migrating their pre-9.x call manager licensing to the 9.x, or issues with the existing fresh install of 9.x. Then we will have a small demo of the ELM component. We will go over the different menu options and what is the significance of those options there. So as we talked about, when CUCM 9 came out, we decided that there were like many questions being put across by customers either on the Cisco support forum community or cases being opened. And then we wanted to have a so that's the time when we decided, okay, let's have a webcast and let's see if we can answer all those queries either through the live webcast or once we will have the Ask the Expert session going on for the question session going on for next 2 weeks. So we will be answering those questions at that point of time. What we have on screen is a timeline and the way we have evolved as per our licensing model. So CUCM 3.x, 4.x, we used to have paper licenses. We used to have just phones and you have to buy a software like a paper license and that's it. With the introduction of CUCM 5.x, 6.x, we were able to, we introduced the concept of device license units, DLUs. So depending on the different phone model, we were adding, we were consuming different DLUs based on a specific phone model. Now, in order to, over a period of time, like while we stabilized our 6.x, 7.x, 8.x versions of Call Manager, we also noticed if there can be a centralized option or a more convenient way which can be given out in terms of licensing. Because say if you are installing something on a virtual machine, you change a NTP reference, your licensing MAC changes, and then you have to go ahead, okay, a lot of requests for changing a new license, installing it. So over the presentation, we will cover the advantages which we have gained through the introduction of Enterprise License Manager. So let's talk about a bit on the architecture overview. So as you can see here in between, we have Enterprise License Manager in the blue box, and let me use a marker quickly. Yeah. So this is the Enterprise License Manager component which we have in between, and then you will have, say, cluster Unity connection and cluster 2. They will be subscribing to the ELM, the Enterprise License Manager, for their requirements of license. So say if, for example, on cluster 1 I have 100 phones and I need to have those licenses, I'm going to talk to the ELM and I will subscribe those many licenses. Once I'm not using 100 phones on that cluster, and once the ELM synchronizes, those licenses will be returned back to the ELM or the Enterprise License Manager pool. What we see here is right now, because going forward we are going to have the option for electronic license request as well as the manual. Manual is what we have right now in the CUCM 9.0, and the CUCM 9.1 is going to come up with a electronic license request. So we will cover it more in detail. Here right now it's a brief idea that we have ELM sitting in between On one side we have the cluster. It can be a Unity connection as well. It can be call manager. They request ELM for their licenses, and ELM can get these licenses either through a manual fulfillment or a electronic fulfillment, which we will cover in detail. So one of the most frequent asked question is, okay, and a clarification which is being sought about, okay, is the license types. Okay, what exactly is a UCL? What is a UCWL? So our attempt in next two slides is to explain that in a brief, and towards the end of the slide, or the slide deck which you will have the access to, you have some of the documents and a video as well on Cisco website which talks a bit more in detail for your understanding. So the license types which we have, we already introduced the Cisco Unified or the CUWL concept in 8.5, but it was not being implemented much in those 8.x versions. In 9.x version, we have incorporated them completely, and you will see a more significant or a majority of use of these licenses now in Enterprise License Manager or Cisco Unified Communications Manager 9. So depending on the usage, we have Cisco User Connect licensing, which we call as, it's a type of license. So UCL is one type, User Connect license, and one is Cisco Unified Workspace license, known as CUWL. So in this case, it's more about, so the difference, if you'll ask me, what is the difference from a User Connect license to a CUWL? In User Connect licensing, depending on your needs and the device of your choice, you can have, say, Essential, Basic, Enhanced, and Enhanced Plus. And in this User Connect license, it's only the device-based, and then you have the basic functionality, and there is no voicemail package along with it if you just go for a User Connect license. So the voicemail package will be an add-on. Now, if we come down to Cisco Unified Workspace licensing, for most of the organizations, it's more of a wide range of, nowadays we use a lot of collaborative applications like, for example, Jabber is there. And then most of the customers, they prefer to use and bring your own device policy, that you can just bring in your own device and connect to the corporate network. Now, where UCWL comes into picture is, say, for example, you want to have different profiles being set for your users. So you have a basic user, you have the users like CIO, CFO, CEO, who might have access to TP units, some Tandberg units, bring your own device, presence. So depending on the usage, you can club your requirements, and then accordingly you can procure those licenses. So this is an example of the licenses and the value-added features. Now I'll use my cursor again. So as we mentioned, if you see here the grayed out part, okay, the gray area, in this one, this is our User Connect license, or the UCL. And then starting with blue, you will see those are our CUWL, or our Cisco Unified Workspace licenses. Now in Essential, I'll go briefly over the different licenses here. So just we have a understanding of the package here. So Essential UCL, here we can see that it will have one user profile. That means like, okay, you have a one end user, and then it's using one device. So that's the most basic license in your environment. Say if you just have a user and you have associated an endpoint to it, and they're just using that endpoint for basic call signaling, that's what you need. Then you have basic UCL, and the way you will see it is the features or the number of endpoints, they keep increasing as we go up the licensing model or the package. Then, but what you will notice is the messaging add-on, okay, that's optional in this scenario. for Unity connection. That's what we are going to engage. So this is something which doesn't come as default. And then advanced UCL, you get more functionality. You get IM and presence. You can have two devices. You have the Jabber, a desktop UC client as well. Now, if we come down to Cisco Unified Workspace license, again, standard is the entry point, and up to professional, you can have one user profile. You can have 10 devices, IM and presence. You can have mobile UC IMS. You can have Jabber desktop UC client, and the messaging comes along with it. So that's why it's also called a package. So all of your Cisco Unified Workspace licenses, they are a package. And then on top of it, it's optional Tally Presence Room add-on. So what we are trying to do here is we are moving on in Call Manager to something what is already being used in Unity Connection. It's more of a user-based class of service or user-based profile. So we are moving over from the DLUs to more of a user-based profile. So with this, I hope we have given a brief picture of it, of the licensing and the different kind of models available, what is the difference between a UCL and a CUWL, and more information can be found in the reference documents which we have given at the end of the slide. Okay, user count tool. So the first question comes in, okay, I have a 8.x call manager or a 7.x call manager. Now, how should I know that how much licenses I'm going to use? What will be the count license? Because what I know is only DLUs. Now, how should I convert or calculate that what is my requirement? So, user count tool is being developed to assist you with this migration. So, user count tool, it doesn't do any migration by itself. It's just a simple utility to help you to estimate or calculate your existing requirement, or see that, okay, if I have like 1,000 DLUs, how do they translate to my devices, to my profiles? And what more it helps is, according to your present requirement, how does my profiles or how does my users, they translate to enhanced license? So that helps you to like order whenever you will be ordering for your UCL or your CUWL licenses. So once you add the user count tool, so when you execute it, you have to add the product instances. Now to the UCL, you're going to add only the instances which are pre 9.x. Say, for example, I have added here two of the call managers. One is a CUCM 8.5, one is a CUCM 7.1.5. Connection status is successful in here. Now, once I add in, execute this utility, and we are going to do a demo later on for the UCT as well as for ELM. So I'll show at that point of time how I added these devices to the tool. Now, once we have added a specific instance of a unified cluster, we can generate the reports. Now, how does it do? Okay, you have to have an AXL super user, okay, in case of CUCM, but in case of Unity connection, you will have to use the OS admin username and password to successfully add an instance to the UCT. And then using the AXL, the information will be pulled in from the device instance which we have added. The information it's going to pull in is the kind of licenses which I already have, and the number of DLUs what I'm using right now. So in the first diagram, which is on the top, okay, the screenshot, you can see that I added two instances here for CUCM 8.5 and 7.1.5. Now, when I'm going to generate a report, I can check the option that I just want to get this report for only one cluster, or I want to have a common report for both the clusters. The reason being, say, if you want to have a enterprise license manager and you want it to be a standalone, like a enterprise license manager, and you want to add multiple clusters to it. So by that way, you can add multiple instances, multiple clusters to your UCT, and in one go, you can generate a single report which will give you a complete idea of your usage, of the usage of your DLUs, how many unused DLUs you have, and that way, once you are procuring or you are placing an order, you can just simply look at this total count which is required for your cluster, and you can order accordingly. Now, once I click on Generate Report, the next screen which will come up is the one which you can see here right now. So as I selected only the first instance, 11.4.80, it shows me DLUs unused is 134. And at the bottom, okay, it shows me like what I'm using right now. So 3 essential I'm using right now. That means I have only 3 phones registered with only 1 user, okay, and basic phones being registered right now. And then I can see 4 enhanced. That means, okay, yes, I have a few more devices being added or extra functionality being used. Once you have this tool, okay, then there's a drop-down menu at the bottom which you will get. And at this drop-down menu, you will get 2 license options. As we discussed before, given the amount of DLUs you have right now, or given the usage of your system, existing system, you want your licenses to be calculated as UCL licenses, okay, depending on the requirement again, or you want the result to be seen as CUWL licenses. So depending on the usage, you can select one of these options. So what I've tried to attempt here is I took, while executing the UCT, I took 2 screenshots. One is for UCL licenses, as you can see here, the recommendation mode. So the user count tool is going to recommend you based on your existing license or the device usage that what you need right now. So based on if I select UCL licenses, okay, that I want to go for only user connect licenses, I don't really need a big package or a CWL license. So it's going to show me my usage. So you can see here enhanced, okay, is 4. That's a recommended license count that I need to, if I want to move over to a CUCM 9.x licensing architecture, I will have to use 4 enhanced licenses. And as per my current usage, I will need to have 3 essential licenses. Obviously, from here, you can always, from this section, you can always adjust and recommend count, because right now you have unused DLUs 134. So based on this 134 unused DLUs, you can always adjust the count, like how many licenses you need for CUWL. For example, if you want to have, say, I have my CEO or my CFO, and he is a very heavy device user, a lot of devices, endpoints are being used, and I want to have only 2 CUWL professional licenses. So you're just going to add a value of 2 over here. Here, what you can see is, okay, 1 CUWL professional license will take out 17 DLUs right now. So that means for 2 users, your 34 DLUs are gone, and the unused DLUs remain will go down to 100. Now, if you look at the recommendation mode for CUWL license, this recommendation is going to again change accordingly, or the user count is going to change accordingly. But right now, I think the additional space, what I can see is the public space phones, because the public space phones, okay, they may not have a user profile on them. So what will happen is you can define, say, if you have some phones in the public space area, you can just define them here, and this is going to take out the essential license count. It will be counted as the essential count, the most basic license. It's always a good practice. So if you look at the bottom down here, okay, we have an option for run compliance check. It's always recommended to run, because it will give you a clear picture, okay, whatever licenses I am trying to request, do I have enough DLUs before when when I'll be migrating to a 9.x system? And at the bottom, as you can see, I just tried to go extra mile, and what I did is I just put in, let me try to have CUWL professional licenses, for example 10. That will exceed definitely. My original was 134, but now the total DLU usage change goes up to 230. So unused DLU remaining goes to minus 96. So I am exceeding my requirement right now by 96 licenses. So that's why it's good to have, and here if you can see the clear warning here, the number of DLUs remaining is less than 0. So it's always a good idea while you're calculating your license requirements to run a compliance check and have a clear picture of the licenses you're going to need. And this way you can calculate what all I already have and what all I need to order extra. Okay, now let's come down to the next main component of the UCL, of the Unified Communications Manager 9.x licensing. That's the Enterprise License Manager. So it's very straightforward deployment what we have. So Enterprise License Manager, it can when you start the installation, you will get two options, as you can see on the screen or the screenshot: Cisco Unified Communications Manager and Cisco Enterprise License Manager. So Enterprise License Manager can co-reside with a UC product. So when you're installing a connection or a call manager, you may get an option with 9.x. So if you select the first option, Cisco Unified Communications Manager, it's going to install both the instances. What I mean by that, it's going to install CUCM 9 along with the Enterprise License Manager as well. But if you select the second option, Enterprise License Manager, it's going to install only the Enterprise License Manager. So depending on your requirement and how you're planning to move, so say if it's a 2-node cluster or a 3-node cluster, you may want to just use the first option, have both the ELM and the call manager reside on the same server, or you can change it as per your requirement. Well, considering that nowadays we are migrating more over to the virtual environment, so you might want to go ahead, and just have a standalone Enterprise License Manager. So what happens when you migrate to your call manager to a 9.x? So till the time we have installed the ELM or Enterprise License Manager server, till the time we don't the system or the call manager, it's not being added to an Enterprise License Manager, it will be in a demo license mode of 60 days. So this way you will still be able to use your existing system, but we will encourage you to go over and get your licenses, which we are going to talk about later, like a license migration request to convert your existing DLUs in a license migration and add them to the Enterprise License Manager. Once you have your call manager being synced with the Enterprise License Manager, this is what you will see on the license page. It will say server host name, and this is being synchronized with this specific ELM. In this case, the call manager and the license manager, they are on the same server.
Okay. So before we get back to the presentation, I'd like to take a moment to ask another polling question. The question is, are you planning to migrate to CUCM version 9? Option A, yes, I'm planning. Option B, no, don't have any future plans. Option C, I'm researching on it. So please take a moment to participate in this poll. The poll is open on the right hand side.
Thanks for submitting that poll. I think we have the results now. So for option A, yes, I'm planning, we have around 28% response. No, I don't have any future plans. We got 9%. So it means like most of us are planning to move over to 9.x. Then the third option is I'm researching on it. And yes, so that's 37%. And I think we have some no answers. I think we just missed to submit the question maybe. So that's 27%. Let's move on to the next part of our presentation. This is also a major area like where we have received a lot of questions and a lot of concerns. So this is the manual versus the electronic license fulfillment. So initially we are going to cover the aspect of manual license because with the CUCM 9.0 we only have manual license fulfillment available. Electronic license fulfillment is going to come over in CUCM 9.1. So right now we have in front of us manual and electronic fulfillment. So for example, we have license manager over here. Okay, then we have end user, and then internet. Okay, so internet is required in case of when we are going to use the electronic license fulfillment. Otherwise, the manual license fulfillment is the old traditional way with the new link though. So you have a pack, okay, that's what we get, okay, and then you realize that pack along with a license request from the CUCM 9.x Enterprise License Manager, and then we go to the Cisco licensing website. It's not the traditional link where we always go, the quick start. We need to go to the new tab once which you want. So right now what we are, okay, I'll step back, I'll just explain the manual license fulfillment again. So under manual license fulfillment we have two categories. One is when we are getting the new packs and we are for the CUCM 9 and we're installing them on the call manager. At that point of time we will need a CUCM 9 ELM license request along with a CUCM 9 pack code for your required licenses. Then we can go to the licensing website, and there is a new tab on the licensing website which we are going to use and get the licenses. In the same manual license fulfillment, okay, you might have a license migration request. So I'm going to cover a bit more in detail with more screenshots, the license migration request. The second option to get your licenses is electronic license fulfillment. As I mentioned before, it will be available from 9.1, and you just have to enter the pack code directly in the ELM, and the ELM is going to contact the Cisco licensing server automatically and download the required licenses. Only thing you have to do is, or depending on the customer requirement, in this case the ELM should have the access to internet. So if you want to give it direct internet access, you want to have a proxy in between. That again depends on the user deployment scenario. Right. So here we will just cover in a bit more in detail the manual license fulfillment. So licenses are manually obtained from the Cisco back office, which is in this case is going to be Cisco licensing website, and entered into the license manager. So as I talked a bit before, manual fulfillment will have license for pre-9.x CUCM upgrade. Let me simplify a bit that for you. What I meant here is the systems we have upgraded from pre-9.x versions. And then we have license for 9.x fresh install, the systems which are being installed as fresh 9.x. So initially, right now we are covering the generate a license request for a CUCM 9.fresh install, and then we go to the product license registration page. Right. So here's the example, what we're going to do. So if it's a pre 9.0 upgrade example, so as we know, and there are some instructions, okay, which I'm like going to cover, or some cautions which we should try to follow. So install any unfulfilled packs. If you have any packs, okay, the product authentication key for any old pre 9.x system, you should realize them and install them on the system. Reason being, whenever we are upgrading our system to 9.x, all the license requirements are being calculated at that point of time. So the CUCM 9.x code is going to calculate your, like it has the algorithm to calculate your existing requirement and your unused DLUs. So as a thumb rule, if you have any unused licenses, you should install them before even initiating an upgrade. So the existing 9.0 version doesn't have this warning, and we have a defect open for the 9.1 version and the upcoming service update, that it will give a warning at the time of initiating the upgrade, even before initiating the upgrade, that you should install all of your licenses, unused licenses on the system. For example, say if you didn't install those licenses, so you have done the upgrade, and you say, okay, before switching the version, I'm going to install the licenses. Will that work for me? No, it's not going to work, because even after you will install the unused licenses after the upgrade is done, but before the switch version, those licenses will not get counted, because it's the upgrade process. When the system is upgraded to 9.x, it's at that point of time when this information is being calculated. So this is something like we can be more careful about. So once you install your unfulfilled packs, you can use the UCT tool to calculate determine like what all it's going to result in the 9.0 licenses. And then you can do the DLU conversion. You can upgrade the cluster after that. You have got the licenses. Then once you migrate your, so you have done the upgrade. You have fulfilled all of your licenses. You have done the upgrade. You have switched the version to 9.x. The next thing which comes is to generate a license migration request, which we are going to cover in the next slide. So first of all, the way we start, okay, once you open the ELM, the Enterprise License Manager, you have to add a product instance to it. Say, and what we have to be careful about is, as you can see here, just for example, what I did, I have mentioned here registration conflict. Okay, so I think I cover this point a bit later. Now, to this option, okay, to the ELM, you cannot add a pre-9.x machine. Reason is pretty straightforward, because we didn't have the ELM component on pre-9.x machines. So if we attempt to add any pre-9.x machines like 8.x, 7.x to ELM, the pre-9.x machine doesn't have a way to respond to ELM, and the registration will fail. So at this point of time, you have to first go to ELM, you go to inventory, you go to product instances, and you have to add a specific product which you want to synchronize with the Enterprise License Manager. So in my case, it is a call manager which I recently upgraded from 8.x to 9.0, and I have entered the credentials. After it's being completely added, successfully added to the system, I need to go to License Management, Upgrade License, and what I'm doing here is I'm going to generate a license migration request. So you will hear this term more often, a license migration request and a license request. So license migration request will always be generated for a system which you have migrated from 8.x to 9.x or a pre-9.x to 9.x. A license request will always be generated for fulfilling your 9.x pack. For example, you want to add some new licenses, so you go and generate a license request. Then you go to the licensing website, you enter the pack key and the license request generated from the Enterprise License Manager, and that's how you get a license file. So right now, because right now it's a upgraded system, it already had, the moment I synchronized or added the information here, the cluster forwarded the ELM data to the Enterprise License Manager. Okay, this is my count of unused licenses, this is my existing usage, and all this information was being calculated when I did an upgrade from 8.x to 9.x. So accordingly, I will select my product type is CUCM 9, yes. Then it will, if it has valid Enterprise License Manager data, which is my pre-used, my pre-8.x or pre-9.x license usage, which was being converted, it will show up in the available product instances. I'm going to move it to product instances to upgrade. So I have added the pre-9.x upgrade there, Unified CUCM. The moment I click on the next page, it's going to show me what all in terms. So user count tool gave you an option. It was just a display that what I'm using right now. Okay, but in this scenario, you can, this tool is right now specify license count. Here you can adjust your license count according to your DLUs remaining, and you can generate a license migration request. So depending on what you specify here, you will get your license migration request, which you are going to use on the license page. Now you'll be amazed, okay, what is this advanced and basic and enhanced which comes up here, and it's red sign. Now the current unused license count shows the number, okay, that okay this is my license requirement, and this is what I'm short of right now. So as per when my license usage on 8.x was being calculated, according to that profile, okay, I'm supposed to have 1 advanced, 4 enhanced, and 1 basic license, but I'm short of these licenses. So in order to overcome that, what I did when I had more DLUs over here, definitely right now it shows up as 0. So I did my adjust recommend count. I tried to use my DLUs accordingly. I divided them. Say I just want to have 27 professional licenses, 2 of premium. I divided them, and right now my usage unused DLUs remaining is 0. As a thumb rule, once what we did on UCT tool, let's run a compliance check again. It helps you to see, okay, if I'm not exceeding my usage of DLUs. So this will just the compliance check passed. And then it takes us to the next page where we have the license migration request. So you just have to copy this license migration request, and it's pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. Place your order, you click on this license migration portal, it will take you to this page. Now, one thing we have to be careful of is, if you just click on, say, www.cisco.com/go/license, it takes you to the Quick Start tab, which is our old traditional way of realizing our packs. But in this scenario, okay, and this is one common thing, which you miss out most of the times while getting the licenses. We try to go to Quick Start. We try to use our pack on the Quick Start page, okay, and then the common question is, oh, it never asked me for a license migration request, because we need to go to a Get New tab, and that's where we need to, where we will see the options for the CUCM 9. So I'll just briefly go through these options, the first two options which are for use for us right now. So licenses from pack, that's for the fresh install method, which we will see a bit later, where you have to use the pack and a license request. Migration license is the place where you have to use your license migration request, which you generated from the product instance or the ELM. So this license migration request is mainly to convert your existing DLUs from the 8.x or a pre-9.x system to valid 9.x licenses, which you have already defined in the previous screen here, which you have already defined here that, okay, I calculated my requirement, I'm at these many licenses, and that's how I'm going to provision them. So the moment you will do that, you will get an option for Communications Manager 9.0. Definitely that's the one we want to go for. And then you can just submit. It's a great straightforward. And then you can, your licenses will be emailed to you. On top of that, you can download them as well from here. Now let's go on to the 9.x fresh install. It's a bit very straightforward, 2 or 3 steps process. Anyways, even if I install, say I installed one publisher only, that is my Communications Manager and as well as my ELM, Enterprise License Manager, as they can co-reside. Even though they exist on the same server, I have to add an instance of the call manager in the ELM, considering they are the same server, okay, but they are 2 different components. So we will have to add, in any scenario, we have to add a call manager pub, or if I want to add a cluster, the pub to the Enterprise License Manager as a product instance. So what I do is I go to license page, I go to generate license request, and that's how I'm just going to go and generate a request. That's how the next screenshot at the bottom you can see, that's how it looks like. I just have to go to my license registration and license from packs, because it's a fresh install of 9.x. I need to have a pack because I have to purchase those licenses which I already must have calculated, and license from pack. So you have to enter a pack key. Once you, sorry, I don't have a pack key with me right now, but the moment you click on license from packs, it will ask you to enter the pack key. The moment you click on fulfill single pack, the next option which will come up is to enter the license request which you generated from that license, from the Enterprise License Manager. Right. And I think the more purpose of a license request is to validate that you install a license on a valid server from which you generated that specific license request. So I think at this point of time, I think we should be clear about 2 points. One is a license migration request, which is for your upgraded systems, and one is your license request, which is for fulfilling or installing your new packs. So that finishes up our manual license fulfillment. Now the next option we have is electronic license fulfillment, which is not available, as I mentioned before, in 9.0 version of Communications Manager. It's available in 9.1 onwards. So this is the electronic license manager from a different CUCM version, which is 9.1. As you can see here, we have licenses option, and it says license e-fulfillment enabled. But right now I don't have a pack again, so I don't have a license installed here. So what you have to do is you just have to click on this option, fulfill licenses from pack. Your ELM should have the access to the internet or the Cisco website. It will do it automatically, like you don't have to specify anything at all. It can automatically resolve the Cisco licensing web page. Additionally, if you don't want to use, say I have a limitation that I cannot have it to be on the internet, in that case you can just disable the e-fulfillment option. So right now I have it's going to give me a warning license e-fulfillment allows you to manage licenses. Do you want to continue? You want to disable it? I said, yes, I want to disable it. And at the bottom, you will see now that the license e-fulfillment is disabled. And you will see the difference that it says now licenses, fulfill license from file. That means the license file which I'm going to get, that's the one which I'm going to install now instead of a e-fulfillment using pack. So now we are towards the end of our presentation here, and in here we have these common scenarios. So I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 different instances which we have encountered recently when some of the end users, customers have been migrating their systems. So one of the options which is here is, okay, I have added my licenses. Okay, now I don't see any Cisco Unified CM product instance. So when I'm trying to generate a license migration request, I don't see anything here. So this is possible in the lab environment scenarios if most of you are trying to upgrade. Okay, the licenses have to be permanent, and if you have not added the instance, a product instance to the instance manager on the ELM. So that could be one of the reasons. So what you have to make sure is, let's make sure that all of your pack fulfilled, okay, unused licenses, everything is installed. Then you have added a product instance, because if the ELM doesn't have this data that there is a call manager cluster which exists, which will have the pre-9.x licenses, it's not going to detect over here. Second thing is, most of the times, okay, you will see that if we are in a system, okay, you might get this warning that this system is being controlled by another ELM server, which is quite possible that if you have 3 clusters, you can have 3 ELM servers running. So in that case, one ELM or one cluster can talk to only one ELM at one point of time. So if you want to add, or you're trying to attempt the addition of the same cluster again, you will get this warning. In this case, you will have to delete the product instance, or you can see this warning here. That would you like to take over license management of this product? If you will select yes, this ELM is going to take over. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is the one of the most common error message which we have seen, which is being reported, and what we already we have discussed earlier. If you generate a license migration request and then you try to use it, say you have a pack key, right, and you have a license migration request. Now, some of the times customers, they will go and use that pack key on the quick start tab of the license. They will definitely get a license, and when you try to install that license on the license page on the ELM, it will give you this specific error message. Now, in terms of collecting the ELM logs, it's very straightforward, because right now either it will be a problem on the ELM, okay, with its core services, okay, if we have to collect the logs and what you have to look at, and when we open a case with TAC, this is something which we will be requesting. So you can change the logging level to debug over here, and so mainly 2 kind of logs are being generated. One is related to the core services running on the ELM itself, and one is the communications manager product instances. So for example, I have some issues with synchronizing with a product instance or addition of a product instance. All those logs will be covered under this specific log. So you can just specify the dates, and then we can generate log file for any specific time. Here is the file which will be generated, and the zip file is going to contain 2 set of logs, one for the core services, one for the product instances. Right. So I think we have one more polling question here, and I think we can try to do a demo, before we start maybe answering those questions.
Okay, let's go ahead and go for the poll question first. So the question is, did the training help you to understand the Enterprise License Manager? Option A, have additional questions. Option B, I understand the CUCM version 9 licensing now. Option C, I can deploy CUCM version 9 licensing. So you can take part in the poll, and Amit will go through a brief demo. Thank you.
Right. So I think we just got the poll results, and it's glad to see, majority of us now understand the CUCM 9.x licensing now, and that has been our intent, like to have the awareness about it. Now, I just want to go through a small demo of Enterprise License Manager, just to familiarize like what are the different options are. They are like most self-explanatory, so I'll just go over them quickly. I'll just share my desktop. So, first of all, like at any point of time, whenever I'm going to add an instance, okay, so if I want to communicate to an Enterprise License Manager, I have to add an instance to the Enterprise, the ELM page. Because going on from 9.x onwards, let me try to log in to a 9.x system as well. So as we see here earlier in pre-9.x versions, under licensing we used to get more options like to license unit report, then upload licenses, and then to assign license capabilities for the present users. Now, going forward, you will just see only one option. Reason being, most of all these other features for the license, we have already moved them over to ELM. So once you will add an instance of ELM to the of the cluster, say this is a publisher, if you add, so at the bottom it will show you the server, the ELM server to which it has been synchronized to, and what was the last successful synchronization. So this is the main dashboard, okay, where you will have, okay, how many product instances already being added to the system, when was the last license update happened, and when was the last synchronization which happened. So as we right now my license usage on the system, so these are my different type of licenses which are being used as a license pool on my system. So ELM is a license pool, and the different call manager clusters can just come in, subscribe, and get the required amount of licenses, whatever the need is. So as you mentioned before, the most important thing is we have to add these instances over here. Now I will just try to add like a demo of it, okay, and how it's going to work. So for example, say I try to add a Unity connection. There goes the IP address. So there we go. So the moment I did okay, it says test connection failed. The product type of the product instance doesn't match as what's specified on the Enterprise License Manager. That's true because I'm trying to add a Unity connection, but the product type I selected was a Unified CM. So let me just pick this one. I'll do a test connection, and there we go. It says the application successfully connected. So at this point of time, this particular Unity connection is already being subscribed or added as a product instance to a different Enterprise License Manager. So it's asking me, do you want to take over the license management of this product? I'm going to say yes. Here we can see that this is being added. Synchronization status, it's not there right now. What I can do is I can do a synchronize now. So right now it's performing a synchronization status with all the nodes. And what I can see is, if you have noticed before, there was a specific 8.x system which I was using. It was saying a registration error. So the moment I did synchronize now, it did a synchronize and it shows success for all these different product instances I have added to the Enterprise License Manager. Now let's go and take a look at the dashboard. Okay. So out of all the licenses, okay, which I have on this system, it shows me that, okay, I am using, okay, 11 right now, and I have them available. Over here, it gives you a pretty neat way of your licenses which are being installed and which are being used right now. So as you can see here, I need, so the first column says required. So depending, because I just added another call manager, a product instance to it, and a Unity connection recently. So for the call manager, I need, it says required 1 advanced, 11 enhanced, and 1 basic. Here I can see the installed licenses I have here are 23, 20, and that's my total count of these premium or professional licenses. Out of them, these are the unused ones, and I'm using the others. And everything is in compliance. That means my requirement of licenses is not exceeding the number of licenses I have installed on my system. Basic messaging. Okay, Unity connection. Now required 6. That means I have 6 mailboxes, 6 users with voicemail system. But I don't have enough licenses because I have not installed any Unity connection licenses on the ELM. That's the reason I have insufficient licenses. The moment I'm going to install Unity connection licenses on the ELM, it's going to sync up and it will lease out 6 licenses to the Unity, this specific Unity connection system, and I'll be in compliance at that point of time. This is a nice view of, again, the representation with the legend here, how many are being installed, how many are being borrowed right now, and this one specifically shows, okay, depending on like whatever is the number of instances you have, you can just see, okay, how many licenses I'm using. If you want to see how many licenses a call manager is using, you just have to go back to the Unified Communications Manager page and go to the license unit report. It will show you how many licenses that specific system is using. Over here, it's a combined pool. And these are the different license types. I'll quickly go over to the license planning. So if I'm generating a new license request, it's a fresh install system. I need to go to generate a license request. This is how it comes up. You click on the link. I'll try to go over there. So most of the times when fulfilling your packs, okay, the moment you click on the page, it takes you to the quick start page. And this is where most of end users, they enter their pack keys, which they have got for CUCM 9.x fresh install licenses. and that's when it generates a license file and you install it, and while installing you get that security error message. We need to go to get new, and that's where you have to fulfill your licenses. So you click on get new, you click on license from pack, you enter your pack key, and then the moment you will enter pack key, you will click on fulfill single pack. It will check the authenticity of the pack, and then it will take you to the next page where it will prompt you to enter the license migration request which we generated here. Then it's pretty straightforward. You get a zip file in which there will be .bin file. You just select the file, install it, and you will have the licenses at your disposal. And this one, you go to the upgrade license, Unified CM or Unity connection. This is for the license migration request. You click on next as defined before. Okay, I've already used my system to generate the license migration request, so that's being done. That's the reason it doesn't show me any more CUCM product instances with pre 9.0 licenses available. We have already covered the product instance part. We'll go quickly to the remaining. Administration accounts, you can just add the accounts you would like to authenticate or add for the authentication purpose. The moment you will click on the OS administration page, it will take you, because we are using the same platform as the CUCM, it will take you to the OS admin page of the call manager, where you can, because all the certificate management, date and time, network upgrade, all these instances, they are the same as the CUCM platform, so the OS admin page is the same. The moment you will click on it, it will take you to the OS admin page. One thing definitely you would like to, and I think just before we wrap up the presentation, the disaster recovery. I think there must have been like a lot of questions around, okay, can I have a redundant ELM or not? So right now we can't. There is no concept of a redundant or a backup ELM. But what I can do is, when you will run the disaster recovery backup, there is a, other than CCM, CDR, there is an additional checkbox for ELM. So that way you can take the backup of your ELM also, just in case you have to restore. So I think with this we can wrap up the presentation, and you can always post the questions on the Ask the Expert series. I think Satish will give more information on this one. So I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Okay, so I'll request everybody to post the question in the Q&A, and like Amit mentioned, you can post the question in the following up Ask the Expert that will run for 2 weeks. So here are some of the references you can refer. Since it is the latest version, there are a few of the URLs that you can refer, the documents. And let me take a few questions that are coming in. I know Rais has been answering them, and some of our other panelists. So let me take the first question. As CUCM does not have capabilities to assign licenses, how would we assign licenses for presence?
Yes, I think that's a good question. Because right now, earlier, as I mentioned during the presentation, earlier we used to have like a pre-9.x versions. We used to have an option to assign capabilities for the presence. But once that option is missing, so how to go about it? Additionally, we cannot add a product instance of presence to the ELM. One of the reasons is because CUCM, okay, its presence picks up its licenses from CUCM, and CUCM is already talking to the ELM, and depending on the license type, say basic or enhanced, I can always have a profile or a user profile with IAM and presence. So if I just go to my end user page, there is a option to assign presence capabilities. I just have to check that option, and that's how my presence user will be provisioned, and it will start using a basic or advanced or a enhanced license, which will have the capability of getting presence.
Okay, thank you. Let me take one more question. What are the benefits of the licensing structure over the previous DLU structure?
Right. So in this, I think I'll talk about like one or two of these points. One of the major points is like now you don't have to keep calculating your system or like how many DLUs I have based on which phone. Okay, how many I'm going to use now. It's what we are doing is we are moving more over to a structure approach in which I can have a structure being defined for different kind of user. So the licensing is more of user based now. User the way or the features which are being used by users. For example, you can have certain users in your office. Okay, we just need a basic phone. Then there will be some users who need additional capabilities. This way you can segregate your users into different groups and you can order the services or the licenses accordingly. One more major point which comes up is in case of VMware, okay, or VM machines, okay, if you change even out of the 8 or 9 parameters which we use to generate a license MAC, even if you change one or two any of those features, like say if you change the NTP address or you change time zone, the license MAC used to change. Now, and then you have to go and procure new licenses, but with the enterprise license manager in place, even if you make those changes, you don't have to worry about your licenses because there is a product instance already being added to ELM. Even if you make the changes, it will go and grab the required licenses from the ELM. So these are the two major points which I can think of right now. And plus you can have ELM, you can have multiple nodes, multiple clusters being added.
Okay, thank you, Amit. So that concludes the Q&A portion for today's event. And this is one of the interesting thing that has been introduced about the trivia question. And the question is, what do Cisco Unified Call Manager and the television show Naval Crime Investigation have in common? Option A, Cisco Call Manager can be set up to control Cisco IP phones that have been featured in NCIS. Option B, Cisco Call Manager has its debut the same year NCIS premiered. And option C, Cisco supplies Call Manager and IP phones to NBC, which hosts NCIS. So please take a moment to answer this trivia questions.
Right, team. And while you're submitting that poll, all the sorry for we I think reached the end of our session, but all the questions what you have posted up there for us, we are going to make them as part of the FAQ, and all of the questions will be answered. So we might reach out to you for additional information or as part of the detailed Ask the Expert session, which will go on for 2 weeks. So we will post the questions there, and you may look out for a response over there.
So let me move on. The question is open in the poll window. So please take a moment to answer that. And so as I mentioned earlier, we have a raffle for prizes among the listeners that complete the evaluation survey, and you can win a 125 Cisco Preferred Access Point. You can also access the survey, and the link will be shortly pasted in the chat window. And Amit will be answering your technical questions on this topic till next week, Friday. And you can access the Ask the Expert session from the Expert Corner community in the Cisco Support Community page. And we'll be also posting the recording of today's event and the question and answer from this webcast in the community. And the same can be accessed in the Expert Corner. It will take 5 business days to post the video, the recording. Okay, so we have our upcoming webcast in Russian, and the expert is Anton. And during this event, he will talk us about the architecture of Cisco Nexus 5000 and 2000 platform, as well as Cisco NXOS operating system. So the registration link is again in the chat window. So if you speak Russian, you can click on the registration link and register for the event. It's happening on November 1st, 12 p.m. Moscow time. And similarly, some of the Ask the Experts that are running currently in English. The first one is the topic for troubleshooting high CPU and other issues in Cisco Catalyst 4500 series switches with Nikolay and Ivan. And this will end on October 19th. So if you have any queries related to this issue, please go to Expert Corner and post your questions. The other Ask the Expert that is currently running and live is Cisco Prime Network Analysis Module. And that is, the expert is Damian Lim. And this also runs till October 19th. We continue to expand our reach in local languages as well. We have communities in other languages like Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese, Polish, and Russian. So if you speak any of these languages, feel free to explore the community, and you can also contribute, create content in those communities. And our presence in social media and iTunes keeps expanding. So feel free to visit our community and visit our several channels from the Cisco homepage, and also the links are on the slide. And you can also collaborate via Facebook, Twitter. Thank you. And last but not the least, if you want to know the correct answer to the trivia question that was asked a few minutes ago, the answer is A. That is, Cisco IP phones were featured on an episode of NCIS, that is Naval Criminal Investigation Service, and those IP phones can be managed using Cisco Communications Manager. Okay, I see, most of them have got the right answer, so that's interesting. All right, so let's move on. And before signing up, please take a few minutes to complete your evaluation for today's session, and this will definitely help us address your business needs and interests in the future. So this concludes our session today. Thank you to our expert Amit Singh for a great presentation and the live demo. I hope everyone will really like it. Also thanks to our expert panelists, Raish Sheikh and Thomas Dominic, for answering some of the technical questions. So thank you all and have a great day.